Shiv, and this is a Beginner's Guide to Biology's first video. I decided to start off with photosynthesis because it's obviously one of the most commonly studied topics in biology, and I felt that many of you might want to learn a little more on the subject. So let's get started. So breaking down the word photosynthesis, the root in the word photosynthesis, the root photo, means light, and the root synthesis means putting together. So really breaking down the word, combining both of these roots, photosynthesis means light putting together, and you'll see that both of these topics will come up various times throughout my video. So that's just a little information on why we as humans named this amazing process photosynthesis. So humanity first started to really get a grasp on the topic of photosynthesis in 1779, when this man right here, his name was Jan Ingenhousz. Sorry, this is a tricky one. This man right here, Jan Ingenhousz, discovered that in the presence of light, plants give off oxygen, and in the presence of darkness, they give off carbon dioxide. So at this time, this was like revolutionary, and this was one of humanity's first steps into really understanding photosynthesis and really grasping what an important process it is in our world. So just looking at the actual definition of photosynthesis, if you were to look something up like photosynthesis definition on the internet, something like this would pop up. It would most likely say something like photosynthesis is the process by which green plants transform light energy into chemical energy, which they can then in turn use for daily processes. But this isn't really too helpful. Like, what does this really mean? It means that something like this plant right here, this little tomato plant right here, it would, in the process of photosynthesis, the chlorophyll in its leaves, which is what makes the leaves green, that would absorb this light energy that came from the sun. And this light energy is represented by these arrows right here. So this plant would absorb this light energy and then in turn transform it into an energy which it can use to perform its daily processes, which in this case is that chemical energy. So hopefully, like something like this model, it really represents what this definition right here, what that really means. So looking at this is actually described as the photosynthesis equation. So in this image right here, it describes that this plant right here, and any other plants like it, using the sun's energy along with carbon dioxide and water through chlorophyll, can transform the sun's energy into sugars and oxygen as a byproduct, and these sugars it can then use for its daily processes. So this equation right here is actually extremely important, as it describes the different factors keying in the process of photosynthesis, and how carbon dioxide plant needs that to perform photosynthesis, and oxygen along with sugars comes as a byproduct. So photosynthesis is actually split into there's two different reactions that happens in the process of photosynthesis, and that of course is light dependent and light independent reactions. So basically, in a light dependent reaction, which happens in photosynthesis, in a light dependent reaction, the chlorophyll will in turn absorb this light energy from the sun. So this light energy I was referring to earlier light energy from the sun. And it will convert that energy and convert this energy into chemical energy, which again, I was referring to this process before, through the use of water. So basically, in a light-dependent reaction, that is when, in this type of reaction, this is when the plant converts this light energy from the sun, and it converts this light energy to chemical energy through the use of water. So basically, this is all taking place in the chlorophyll and in this area, in the thylakoids. So light dependent reaction, it obviously gets its name because it is dependent on light. It needs this light energy for its process. So that's how this type of reaction got its name. Meanwhile, light independent reactions, they obviously don't need light, happen after these light dependent reactions. And in light independent reactions, the plant uses the chemical energy gained from, here, let me make this, the plant uses this energy gained from the light-dependent reaction. So in the light-dependent reaction, obviously converts this light energy to chemical energy. So after this, in the light-independent reactions, in the process of photosynthesis, the plant will use the chemical energy gained from the light-dependent reaction. And it will then, in turn, convert the energy into carbs like glucose, because like I said before that a plant can use this chemical energy for its daily processes, but it can't use this it can't just use this raw chemical energy. It needs glucose. So first, after gaining this chemical energy from the light dependent reaction, to use this chemical energy for its daily processes, the plant then needs to convert this chemical energy into carbs like glucose, because it cannot use this raw chemical energy for its processes. It needs to use carbs like glucose. So in light independent reactions, the plant converts the chemical energy gained from the light dependent reaction into energy like glucose that it can actually use. So sugars, like here, this would be referring to something like glucose as the end product of this photosynthesis equation. So that's all very well, the process of photosynthesis, but why do we need to learn about it? I'm sure that many of you are thinking, why is this even important to us? What does this have to do with us? It's just for plants surviving, isn't it? It really doesn't have anything to do with us. But that actually isn't the case, because photosynthesis is actually an extremely important process. So photosynthesis, without photosynthesis, there would be no life. So without photosynthesis, we would not be alive, and there would be no life on Earth. Because what's really interesting is that we depend on plants to survive. We depend on plants to survive, and plants actually depend on us to survive. So we depend on plants to survive, and plants depend on us to survive. So without plants, we would not be alive, and without us, plants would not be alive. But why? The reason is, as you might have seen in this photosynthesis equation right here before, carbon dioxide, a plant uses carbon dioxide in photosynthesis to make its sugars, which it can use for its daily processes. So a plant needs carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. And what's interesting is, in our process, we have a process that's like photosynthesis, but obviously we cannot perform photosynthesis, otherwise we would not need to eat food. But we have a process that is for the same reason as photosynthesis, to produce energy for our body. So a plant needs carbon dioxide for its process, but what's interesting is we actually need oxygen for this our process. So a plant may need carbon dioxide to conduct its photosynthesis, but to conduct our photosynthesis type process, I would say it's not photosynthesis. Please don't think photosynthesis is something we do. We don't. We have something similar to photosynthesis, which I will describe in a later video, that we use to produce our energy. And our process requires oxygen, while meanwhile their process requires carbon dioxide. So a byproduct, or one of the end products of our photosynthesis, in air quotes, process, is a byproduct, or something that's produced at the end, is actually carbon dioxide. So that's why when we breathe in and breathe out, we're breathing in oxygen and we're breathing out carbon dioxide. And the plants need this carbon dioxide that we are breathing out for its daily processes. So without us, plants would not have the carbon dioxide it needs to go through photosynthesis, and therefore would die. So that's the reason why without us, plants would be dead. And also, it goes the same for us and plants. Plants, as a byproduct or end product of the photosynthesis equation, one of their end products is oxygen, and we need oxygen to survive. We breathe in the oxygen because we need oxygen to survive. So without this oxygen that is produced through photosynthesis as a by end product, without this, we wouldn't have enough oxygen to survive. So therefore, we would die off. So that's why it's a mutual relationship. Without plants, we would be dead, and without us, plants would be dead, because plants produce the oxygen we need to survive, and we produce the carbon dioxide plants need to survive. So that's really why photosynthesis is so important, because without it, there would really be no life on Earth. And it's also an extremely interesting topic to study, so I would study it anyway, even if it wasn't so important. But that's off topic. So yeah, so that's basically why photosynthesis is so important, and why we as humans have made sure that we know as much as we can about it. So that's going to be the end of the video today. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, this video was on photosynthesis. I really hope that you learned something from this video. I helped you out. If you have a test coming up, I hope that I'll help you. I hope you get a good grade. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.